I climbed all the way from Emerald 4 up to Diamond 4 in less than 15 games, and if I can do it, you definitely can. So if you really want to rank up with the patch right now, this is the simplest and easiest way to do it because this comp is very strong, very simple, and very consistent as well. So this has been my games in the past 3 days. Like again, that's less than 15 games, I'm pretty sure. And you can already see here on my stats, it's going to be Nitro Dynamo Flex. Okay, this comp is super consistent and super strong, and I'm going to teach you how to do it in this video. Alright, what's up everyone? Gids here for another video on TFT, and yeah, this is my climbing strategy for the B patch of 14.1, and basically it's going to revolve around Nitro. So Nitro, you don't have to reroll on this one because you just really want the robot to be tanking for you. Like at around 100 stacks, this thing has like 2000 HP, like 1000 HP at 50 stacks, and it's already so good. It's so much frontline that makes you really strong in the mid game, early game, and mid game, which makes this very consistent and makes you very healthy at the course of the mid game, which helps you really cap out your board in the late game. Okay, so the board consists of Nitro units, of course. Shyvana and Elise, always mandatory. They will always end up in your final board. Kindred and Nidalee are optional, really. Well, you need to have 3 Nitro. So you're going to decide whether you want to keep Kindred or Nidalee. So if you want to keep Kindred, you usually want to go either the Misfortune route or the Zeri route. If you want to keep Nidalee, it's just going to be the Annie route. Okay, so those are your options, and this is always going to be the base of the build. And of course, wait, let me just put all the other units that's actually very consistent in this build. Like they will never go away. They will never go away. These units up here at top, these are like your core units. They will never go away. You will almost always have them. Where's Jin? Also Jin. So all these units up here, you will almost always have them on your board. They're never going away. So those are like your main units, okay? Okay, so now that you know the units that you have, let's talk about the build up. And then after that one, let's talk about all the endgame boards that you can build with it. This is the level 4 board that's very strong and will definitely give you a win streak, especially at stage 2. Level 5, you can add in Jax in here. Or if you get really lucky, just put in Elise and you have 4 of the Nitro units. At level 5, you can add in Jin. Not Jin. You can add in Jax. And then at level 6, this is your strongest level 6. It's either Naafiri or Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser, of course, is always going to be better than Naafiri. But if you don't have access to Mordekaiser, then Naafiri is in there, giving you an access to the Exotech weapon. So usually, depending on the Exotech weapon, if it's an offensive Exotech weapon at 3 Exotech, that's really good. That's a really good sign to go Zeri, especially if you have Flux Capacitor or Pulse Stabilizer. Everything else, usually, I don't consider building Zeri if I get anything else other than these 2 items right here. Hollow Bow is okay for the early game. This is just for the early game and it's going to Jin. Okay, other items that I like putting on Jin. So this is usually the time when you are considering which routes to go to. But if you have Shojin, Shojin is a good slam. It will always go on to MF, or it can always go to Aurora as well, which is almost always going to end up in your final board. IE is very strong, especially for MF. So if you're going the MF route, it can be on Jin. And actually, IE is not bad on Zeri as well. And then of course, Rage Blade, you're gonna be building Rage Blades if you're going for the Zeri route. Okay, tank items, usually best items is going to be Protector's Vow. Also, the other one, pretty underrated right now, is Even Shroud. Even Shroud, I actually love slamming this one because if you put an Even Shroud on your front line and that front line actually lasts a little bit, you don't have to build Last Whisper on your MF, which I really don't like building. So you can just build a Giant Slayer over here or Guard Breaker. Guard Breaker is also very strong. And yeah, anyways, this board right here, level 6 board, this will take you from stage 3 until early stage 4. And of course, at stage 4, 4-2, you're gonna be leveling up to 8 and rolling down. Okay? So this is your board. Like if you have 2-star and 2-star, just 2-star Shyvana, 2-star Jhin, maybe 2-star Jax, and 2-star of these guys right here. And level 7, you can consider putting back in for Nitro just to give more stacks onto your robot for more HP and AP. Then yeah, you can consider that. But this is your board past around 3-6. If you're pretty healthy and pretty rich, you can go to level 7. And then of course, level 8, it's time to roll down. And by level 8, you should, or by early stage 4, like stage 4-1, you should already have scouted and looked at what units enemies are playing. So usually Zeri is very, very contested. Usually, so if you see people building a lot of Rage Blades, then you might consider just going straight to MF. Maybe I should make a board for the roll down, just so you know what you are looking for. So when you are rolling down, these are still the units that you have. This guy and this guy. Okay, so this is like your core, right? This is your core. And whenever you roll down, you're looking for Sejuani and one of the 4 costs that you need. So it's either going to be Zeri or Misfortune. Of course, if you get lucky and find Zac, put Zac in. If you get lucky and find Aurora, put Aurora in. But anyways, this is what you're rolling for level 8. Can drop Zeri. So say for example, you're looking, or you got Misfortune first. The goal now is to find a 2-star Sejuani, 2-star MF. Okay? That's pretty much your goal. Once you hit these two, and probably there's a good chance you hit one of the 5 costs, right? If you get one of the 5 costs, then they're going to board at level 8. Okay? So you roll down your gold. If you get either one of them, even at 1-star, right? Let's say it's 1-star. Not 3-star. Okay? Even at 1-star, and of course you itemize them. 3 items, 3 items. This is one of the requirements for you to be able to go to level 9. So let's say for example, this is your board, right, at level 8. Then this is almost okay. But you can save up stage 4 if this is your board at stage 4. You can save up gold for the whole of stage 4, especially if you're healthy. If you've been streaking stage 2, stage 3, especially if you're healthy, then you can actually kind of sack stage 4. But I usually don't really like it. I save up after my 4-2 roll down. I save up until 4-5. Probably roll a bit until we hit again Sejuani 2, Misfortune 2. That's it. Once you hit those 2, no more spending. You now level to 9 because this is already really strong. This is already really strong. Also, positioning wise, I usually just put Zac on one of the edges and the T-Hex on one of the edges. And Sejuani just switches from left to right depending on positioning of the enemies. So next, we have this board right here. So this is your endgame board. You cap out with Viego 2, Zac 2, Aurora. Aurora best pull is almost always Urgot. If you find this guy, Renekton is okay over Viego, maybe, or maybe Garen over Viego. Okay, the only 5 costs that are unclickable right now is Kobuko and freaking Samira. Okay, those 2 are unclickable right now, so any of these 3 can go on the board at level 9. All right, so this is the final board again. This is like the most capped. Okay, most capped board. Next is this is the Zeri. So again, it's the same build up with how you build up with MF, but this time you're playing with Rage Blades. Okay, again, consider Exotech items if you have offensive ones. Usually that's the only time you go with the Zeri. But if you don't have offensive, it's actually okay as well. If you find a lot of Zeri and you already have Rage Blade, you can just put Gunblade as a 3rd item here. And if you have a tank Exotech item, you can put it onto Sejuani right here. Okay, so that's also pretty good. But if you really don't have anything, or if you have one of the bad ones like this thing right here or the Hollow Bow, you can put it on Jhin. It's fine, right? It's actually okay to put it on Jhin and you still play this board. So there's a lot of scenarios where you can go with this board and it's still okay even if the Exotech item is bad. All right? And then lastly, this board here, the Ani board, I don't really go with this board. If you look at all my games, there is no Ani board over here. Let's see, ranked right here, right? No Annies. Never went with Annie. I never went with Annie because I don't really like it. Honestly, I just don't really like it. But if you do hit a lot of tiers, usually if we hit a lot of tiers, I'm just making a lot of protectors vows. But you hit a lot of tiers and you're starting with AP items. The build up of this one is of course going to be very different from this opener right here. You're basically going to build up with Nidalee, or maybe you will be building up Elise. So if you have an early Elise and you have AP items, then probably consider going this one. But higher cap is going to be the Zeri one or the MF one. Like this one is okay, but I think it still might lose to some boards. Okay? And then lastly, last resort, final resort, if you really did not hit anything, consider transitioning to 7 Anima squad. So your Sejuani items go to Leona and your MF items go to Zaya. So if you were angling Zeri already, this is not going to work. You're gonna have to reforge your Rage Blades, which is going to suck. But yeah, there's no other way. There's no other transitions. This is like, again, the last resort that you're going to do if ever you get super contested, ultra contested with the units and you can't hit. So I think I transitioned into this one a couple of games before. So yeah, this one right here, I was considering going MF and we still ended up a second. This one, we went 5th instead of going 8th because we again transitioned from the Nitro into 7 Anima squad. So yeah, there are some games where you will be very, very unfortunate and be very contested with the comps. But usually, there's a lot of outs, right? There's a lot of outs. Like, again, there's Misfortune, there's Zeri, and there's Annie. And last but not least, there's the Zaya out. Okay? So that's pretty much it for the comps that I've been playing. So good luck to your grinds, and I'll see you guys at Master this time around. GG's.